Board of Library Trustees meeting on April 1st, 2021, pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law 30A18 and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Hubbardston Board of Library Trustees will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with a right and or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the town website. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via Zoom. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on the town's website a comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. Okay. So call meeting to order, 7:03. All right. Hi, everyone. Deep breath.
Hello.
So, okay, first on the agenda is the library director's report.
Okay. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, just checking. I've been muting and unmuting so I wouldn't make noises when I cough. All right. So the director's report, April 1st, 2021. For the month, we had curbside pickup of 34. We had 110 patrons come to the library. Under the Facebook totals, our page views for March were 155, which is an increase from February, which we had 99, and January had 81. December had 56, and November had 87. Our post reach for Facebook was March 1,370. In February, that was a huge increase from February, which had 355. January had 553. December had 531, and November had 446. Our total page likes in March were 651, which was an increase from February from 640. January had 639, December had 637, and November had 634. So we're seeing a definite increase in people liking the page. Page followers was also an increase. In March, we had 710, February 699, January 698, December 696, and November 691. I did add a line here. Our most popular posts this month, number one was the scholarship post, and that came in at 638 people viewing it. And number two was story time, which had 495 viewers. For the month of March, our Wi-Fi connection was 28, which was down from February, which was 29, which was also down from January, which was 46. The weeding, didn't do that right. The weeding of our adult nonfiction collection is complete. We have a number of items available for a summer book sale. It is my thought we should hold a book sale on the Saturday of the town-wide yard sale that the Open Space Committee holds annually. I also have two people who have indicated they are willing to help with the book sale. Our monthly display for March was for Women's History Month and Easter. We haven't had any takers for books to be delivered to the Senior Center yet. It is in their newsletter, so I hope that someone will take advantage of it. Michelle posted a storytime video, and we assembled a simple craft bags for the participants. We are looking forward to the next story time. We are also prepping simple STEM kits to pass out to elementary school-aged children. The town used the Green Community Grant to replace all the light bulbs in the library and the town offices, on the town office and library levels with LED bulbs. The lights all match now, and the illumination in the library is very much improved. I have checked with David Nixon, our interim town admin, and Erin, the assistant to the board, the select board, about a Zoom license for the library. The concern from Erin is using a town Zoom license offers transparency, and she is uncertain of how it may impact open meeting laws if we use our own license. I asked David if the library could purchase an additional license under the town's account for library use. He said he will look into it and get back to me. We could have a license for the library for activities. It would cost about $150 if paid annually, and we could utilize the Zoom license for programming, including story time. There has been no update on the budget expenditures. These usually get updated about a week after our meeting, so there is no change to the various library accounts on the next page. Respectfully submitted by me, Chris Barbera.
Thank you, Chris.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Chris. Quick question. Are we taking minutes?
That I was going to, you are. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you. I was just going to.
Anyone want to discuss any part of?
I have the video.
You have the video? Yes, you have the video, and you have the minute. You have the director's report.
Yeah, I'm just saying I'm typing it up, but I don't have to type everything because I have the report and the video.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask about whether we need to approve or just, give approval for the book sale, like whether that is just something that the library can do, or whether we want to weigh in on that.
We can weigh in on it.
What is the date of the town yard sale? I can never remember.
Isn't it usually the first Saturday in June?
I think it's either the first or the second.
In the past, it has been on Father's Day weekend because I've always been unable to attend said yard sale. I believe that the one year that they switched it away from that weekend was also a weekend that I couldn't make it. So I will contact, once the egg hunt is done, I'm going to contact Sandra Barry and see if she has a confirmed date for that, and then we can go from there.
Okay.
And then last year they ended up doing it for a weekend just to try to spread it out for COVID, I think. So I don't know if that's there this year as well.
Hey, Morgan, I don't know, on my end, you're very loud, and if I lower the volume, then I can't hear. I don't know if it's something that you can handle on your end or not. If not, that's fine. It doesn't matter. But I just thought I would ask.
I will try.
Okay. You have a really sensitive microphone, I think.
Testing. This is better.
Yeah, it's a little better.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Morgan. So, do we want to have a book sale this year during the townwide yard sale? How does everyone feel?
I'm in favor of it.
I am as well. I know I'm out of town, I think the second weekend in June, but if it's the first weekend in June, I'm happy to help out, set up, work it, whatever.
I mean, I love the book sale. I think that's so fun to do that.
I think it's fine. I just wasn't sure if we needed to, weigh in on it. That's all.
Yeah.
I'll propose I propose that the Hubbardston Library participate in the townwide yard sale to sell the excess adult fiction.
Actually,
Was it fiction or nonfiction? Now I'm second guessing myself.
I don't know.
Nonfiction collection. It's nonfiction collection.
Would we also be collecting books from the community to sell? Or is that
at this point? I would say no, only because if anyone's gone into the library and taken a look at the stairs, we've got books going all the way up the stairs, stacked up willy-nilly. We've cleaned up. We've weeded the large type books which went to the senior center. We also weeded out the adult fiction and the adult nonfiction and the young adult. So we have a substantial collection of books that can be sold to the public. And if we get time, we can certainly work on the children's book section as well, to offer children's books as well.
Chris, do you know, so I'm curious about, do you think that there are books that the public would want to buy? Or the books that you're weeding out, books that people would want to buy? Not that you'd know for sure, but that one year, the last time Connie and we were giving away Reader's Digest.
We don't have any Reader's Digests. And one of the reasons that I would prefer not to have book donations from the public is that we just have such a large amount of books that will fill up our book sale that I don't think that's necessary, but it will definitely not be. I'm not accepting any condensed version Reader's Digest books. That's not happening.
Okay, because there were so many that one year. Remember, Connie?
I do, yeah. And I actually think there's value in having a smaller collection for sale, so there's not as much like noise to sift through, and so that when people buy, they have a better quality to look at.
You know, can I just say I've participated in some of this weeding, and it's hard for me to do. It's very sad that there's a lot of really, I think, very useful books and books that people have appreciated, you know, but they're just not getting used in the library collection. So I feel that, you know, like people are going to be interested in cookbooks or DIY books or, you know, just, you know, history books. I don't know what happened before, but, you know, these aren't just dreg books. They're, you know, they're good books that we're just,
Okay.
at least that's my opinion.
And just to confirm, because they're library books, any proceeds go back to the town, correct? As opposed to library accounts. Is that?
That's correct.
Okay.
That is correct.
So how would everyone feel about, we didn't do this the last time we had a book sale, we didn't reach out to booksellers, like people who sell books. I don't know, would you call it commercially on Amazon and eBay? So they come to library book sales with their little devices and they scan the books and then they take, I guess, what they think is resellable. So how does everyone feel about posting on, say, booksalefinder.com and allowing and putting that information out there to booksellers? Okay with that?
I'm okay with it. I don't know what goes into it or how long it takes or.
Yeah, it would just be part of our regular book sale. What tends to happen is in the past few book sales, we didn't put it out to booksellers officially. So I'm sure they came, but there's a website where you post the information and then they tend to like be right outside the door when the library book sale is opening or earlier. And they tend to take a lot of books, which I have no issue with filling a bag for a whatever dollar amount we decide.
Well, my only concern is that, you know, might not be able to take advantage of it, but I don't know if that's an issue. If you had a lot left over before, maybe it's not an issue.
We had a lot left over.
We've had a lot. Like we've taken like
right, Connie?
boxes and boxes, and then we've had, I think, the librarian from Devon's prison come and pick up extras. Like, I think if our goal is to sell the books and to get them to get them up, to get rid of them or get them off our hands, I think there's value in inviting a bookseller or just letting them know about it, right? It's not like we're giving them early access.
Sure.
You know, they just come in like any other person.
Yeah. And we can put a later start. I don't know if this is fair or ethical. Honestly, I don't know what the ethics of this are, but we could put a later start time to whatever we post for the booksellers. So the community gets to come in and they, you know, the thing is the book sales aren't like, I remember Morgan there at the book sale that year and her family, and I love seeing community members at the book sale. That's why we do it. It doesn't tend to have a huge turnout. So we have a lot, like Connie was saying, we have a lot of leftover books. And then 2 or 3 of us are struggling to get those books out of the library to put them into donation bins or to disperse to schools. It's really hard work. So.
Well, if I could interject here for a minute, the last book sale we had, Jane had contacted a book reseller, and they just took the book. I mean, I wasn't even a book reseller. They take your old books and they just get rid of them. So that is something that you could certainly look into. If I can track down the name and number of the person that Jane contacted at the last book sale, they just clear everything out. They take everything that didn't sell.
That's great. So between the prison library and or the jail library and the resellers, great way to do it. So I also think there has to be commitment to being at the book sale. I'm sorry, there has to be commitment to being there because again, usually it's just a couple of us. It's a lot of, and Chris and the library staff set up the books. They do a great job. but they're cleaning the books, setting up the books on the tables. If we decide it's nice weather and we're doing it outside, that's heavy lifting, taking things outside. So it involves a great deal of work. So I really I personally want to do it if people are committed to doing it.
Well, I'm going to be there, definitely. And like I said, I have two interested people, at least, who are interested in volunteering for the book sale. And I can reach out to the other people who have indicated that they are interested in volunteering at the library when we open for more hours.
Chris, do you know, like, it would be a question to ask, are they open to heavy lifting? Are they open to like setting up the library? Are they just open to being there?
Well, the two people that I'm talking about would be capable of heavy lifting, so.
Okay. So I guess Morgan put the question out there.
I can second.
Okay, let's vote. Krista?
Yes.
Morgan?
Yes.
Connie?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
And I myself, Josephine Amato, yes. Okay. So we're having a book sale depending on the date, and we'll talk about it again at the May meeting. We'll know who the volunteers are at that point and the date and who can be there. We'll talk about it again. Okay. So if I could bring up one more thing from the director's report, which is the Zoom account stuff. We have used other Zoom accounts, like we've used my personal Zoom account. And I think I don't know what the issue is, but when I did it, it was trying to upload. The file was so big to be emailed to the town administrator was really hard. And I don't even know if it ever got there because I didn't get any responses back about it. So I guess we're still trying to figure out the Zoom account. Chris, was that right?
That's correct. I haven't gotten a response back yet from Mr. Nixon. I will give him a call on Monday. Excuse me, to see if he's figured out if he's had a response for that.
And I think there's benefit for us because even with this meeting, the meeting was scheduled back in February, and I couldn't even get them. I couldn't get the Zoom link. I didn't get it until Tuesday. Or the day that I sent out the agenda, that was the day that I got the link, and it wasn't posted on the town website. So I would love to see us have our own Zoom account. It will be easier for whoever is chair next. So,
and I think regardless of whether or not we can use it for like these meetings, I think it's worth for at least a year to subscribe to it to see how it works with like other programming and events. I mean, $150 is not that much money to like pilot it for at least a year and see if we use it.
mm-hmm.
So I would advocate regardless going forward with the purchase.
I was going to say the exact same thing. Even if it's not allowed due to open meeting laws or otherwise, for our meetings, I think for story time and other activities or announcements, it would be worth it.
So, Tom, sorry.
The objective of getting what would be a third Zoom account was to break the logjam when there were more than 2 meetings on a particular evening. We could either beg the town to buy a third one, which is still probably only $150, or we could buy the third one for the town and the town would manage it, but we make some kind of an arrangement where we get first dibs. And I'm speaking of a meetings devoted Zoom. It would be different and separate from what has been previously talked about as a library program Zoom. I think that should go ahead, but I can't imagine the town not having $150 for a third meeting Zoom.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, then why wouldn't they have purchased it? Because it isn't like we are not the only ones who run into the issue of not being able to schedule a meeting. There are others, like as we talked about last time. It's like they've had to cancel scheduled meetings for other committees that take precedence over, say, the trustees. So
I can't tell you why.
No, I know
but,
you. I'm venting.
It sounds like Chris, are you the lead on the programs Zoom?
As of right now, we don't even, our story time has been over Facebook, where she records a video and then she uploads it to Facebook so people can watch it. I can certainly approach her and see if she's interested in using Zoom to have a more intimate story time and have some feedback. She would probably have to do that at the library because I'm not sure what kind of internet speed she has at her house. Excuse me. So we could certainly do that, and we could utilize a Zoom account and have remote programming, sort of like what we did last year, but that was all through Facebook, and we would have a little more control over it if it was Zoomed with the participants and the performers.
Then with that moving forward, I volunteer, or if somebody else wants to, I'd go over and talk to the town administrator and say, please buy a third town Zoom for the resolution of meeting conflicts, where there's more than two. If that's okay with everybody, I'll do that, or if somebody else wants to do it.
I think that's, but I'm just continuing to meet on Zoom, indefinitely, or, I mean, it seems like there's advantages in some ways because then the meeting gets recorded, but I know we talked before about how people like to be in person. So I'm just wondering whether it's worth pursuing if we don't know how long we're going to be needing it, or how long it's going to be hard to get access to the town Zoom.
If you had asked me the same question last September, I would have said, don't bother.
Good
but
point.
Here we are,
Good point.
March.
Yeah.
And it's also $150.
Yeah.
So you only use it for 6 months. You've blown $75. I mean, what is this?
Yeah.
So unless someone objects, I'm going to walk over and ask him to just buy a third one, and I'll report back what he says.
So the library could pay for that third one, or is that what you're saying, or just we would ask the town?
Yeah, well, the town should pay for it, but if they absolutely refuse, I will suggest, what if the library pays for it?
Okay.
And the whole town could use it.
Well, I think it would also be a matter of asking if the library were to purchase it. So going back to the director's report, and Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, you had mentioned wanting to follow up, and it was with the interim town administrator asking if we had a private Zoom account, any implications with open meeting law. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think they were worried about that.
So that would be like one of the questions. And if the town were to purchase a third one, that would be our request. If they refused, our next request would be, well, if we purchased it, the library, as a gift to like the town to use, would we have like a guarantee that we could keep our meeting? And that could be, not to say it's a dedicated library one, but that library functions, events, and our trustee meeting have precedence.
Yeah, first.
Does that sound like? Okay. And then do we need to vote with regards to, and I think it would be better just to, for voting, I'm in favor, and I propose if we need to, it's a worthwhile investment. I propose that we invest $150 for a year subscription in Zoom.
Seconded.
Okay, let's vote. Krista?
Yes. This is for the library Zoom.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, sure. Yes.
Morgan?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Bonnie?
Yes.
And myself, Josephine, yes. So, I think, Chris, I think one of the questions is like, right now, the way we're recording is to an iCloud. So I think we would really just need to be connected to that iCloud so the meetings go to the appropriate place, besides the open meeting law question. Okay.
All right, so do you want me to reach back to David Nixon and see if to go with a Zoom account that we could purchase, or are we just buying a Zoom account for us for the anticipation that we're going to use it as our own and just send them the copy?
I thought it was both. But
Oh, both, okay.
In other words, one has to be under the auspices of the town, and the other one can be under the auspices of the library. The one under the auspices of the town is the one we'll use for these official type meetings that have to be within the purview of the open meeting law. The other is for a reading session or something else.
I put down, Tom will contact the town to request they purchase a third Zoom account. The library could contribute to this cost if necessary.
Thanks, Krista.
From the
And
thing
thank
we
you,
just
Tom.
voted on. Is that
Okay?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, sounds good. I
Yeah.
think everyone agrees. Let's keep moving forward on that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tom. Okay, were there any other discussions about library director that came from the library director's report? Okay. Tom, you've been doing so great with the CPC and all of that. Thank you so much. Is there any
Where
part
do
of
you hear my report?
Okay, let's hear.
No,
No matter what, you've done a great job.
they're wonderful people, and they're all, you know, volunteers like us.
Mhm.
I submitted an interior package of activities and an exterior package of activities. They had two difficulties with it. One is that I didn't have quotes for everything. And some of those estimates I estimated myself. And in general, I think they respected my estimates. On the other hand, the second difficulty with it is not all the things I put on the list, my wish list, qualified as historical preservation. For instance, the tree work, they said that's not really historical preservation. And the another example would be patch and paint, or maybe Chris's office rehab. These things were perceived to be more in the maintenance category. So I said, okay, scratch them off and approve what is approvable and get back to me. And so that's what they're doing now. And it will appear for us in the form of the town, of a warrant to the town. The town annual town meeting has to vote on an approved amount. And I think they will simply identify it as interior work and exterior work. And some of the things that I wrote down on the list will not be approved. And I have yet to know exactly what they're going to do, but it doesn't really matter. They'll do a fair thing and a good thing, and we'll get some of the pie, but not the whole pie.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll figure out how to fund the other stuff. That's basically what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
I think the warrant is due days from now, so we should know pretty soon. And there's two more issues. One is we have some money already in our hands, and we have to spend it. And I did not double dip. That money that we have in our hands now is allocated for certain things like decommissioning the well and doing some work that has to be done. And so I've got to get to work on that and help, and with the help of the town administrator, and I've not met him yet, but he, if he comes with Ryan's seal of approval, then he must be a good guy. I missed Ryan, of course. He's very helpful. And then the second issue is we have a proposal from the person in Westminster who's a landscape architect. And I think that money, we can afford to buy her plan if it's acceptable to the trustees, but the execution of her plan, in other words, pulling up plants and putting in new plants and grading and whatnot, hasn't been approved yet. That would be in the next fiscal year if it gets approved. And if it doesn't get approved by the CPA, it might be approved by us if we all agree to go forward with that. So 2 issues. We got to spend some money between now and June 30th. And the other issue is, do we want to get into what really is a town frontage facelift, not just a library facelift?
Does the foundation fit under the exterior? Is that the only? You said interior and exterior. I just want to, because is the foundation report, is that a separate thing or is that part of the exterior?
Foundation is exterior. I anticipate they'll give us about $20,000.
Okay.
Which is enough to get what we really need done. In
Okay.
fact, it's a reasonable amount. Also in the exterior category, though, is trim dead trees and rip out invasive plant hedges and this kind of stuff. And some of that we can get done in this fiscal year with existing money, and some of that will have to be figured out for next year. That's mainly the exterior work.
Okay.
There's some details, but that's the bulk of it. The reason we're getting that 20,000 is I did get a quote from a company called Stone and Lime to do most of that work.
I guess I'm just wondering about, I mean, I think it's great to have a plan for the land, you know, the landscaping, what did you call it? The
facelift.
The facelift, yeah, the town frontage facelift. But I know there's other plans in the works for that corner there.
There is?
Just whether, yeah, what is it called? Some kind of town center beautification or something?
Oh, yes, yes. There is a plan to do the whole Main Street over and sidewalks and parking and crosswalks and everything. But it stops, its scope of work stops at the edge of the sidewalk, the building side edge of the sidewalk.
I see.
And
okay.
so from the sidewalk edge to the building will be affected and dug up and whatnot, but it won't be in a finished condition.
I see.
They're going to take down the tree in front of the library. They're going to take down some trees in front of the school. They're going to, they want to move a telephone pole, this kind of stuff. I have all those plans, and I'm trying my best to anticipate what they're going to do so that when we do our thing, we end up with a blended result.
My curiosity is, would it be more cost effective and beneficial for us to do our work after they do theirs, or should we be doing it in preparation of theirs?
Well, we won't, I agree with you. We won't be done until after they're done. But there are some things we have to do, like digging up the foundation and re-water sealing it and whatnot. And what we'll do is we'll dig it up and end up kind of rough grading and designing what we want it to look like when we're all done, but not doing all the things until after they finish. That makes sense?
Mm-hmm. Some of the other exterior work, I'm just curious, and I don't remember the name, barberry or the bushes by the sidewalk that kind of go between the library and the school.
They're Japanese barberry. It's an invasive species, and they're pain. So
working on those or something that could be like a subset, and piecemealing different work and putting all those puzzles. I love seeing it come together. I'm just kind of like, I need a great big vision board to see how they all come together, I guess.
We have
if I can help in any way, I'm just like, I'm personally struggling with trying to see of what should we do and what steps should we go in, and trying to understand how we interact with the town beautification and the sidewalk, I guess.
Yeah, I think you're right. The coordination is necessary. I got a letter quotation from that person in Westminster who's a landscape architect. And for a couple thousand, for a couple $1,000 we can have her design it on paper and tell us what to rip out and what to keep and what to put back in as a better plant, and what trees should be, well, there's one that's literally going to be, or two that are going to be taken down. So my suggestion would be to authorize her to put it down on paper so we can all see what this might look like when we're all done.
Would we ask her to stay within a certain budget, or are we going to give her free reign to design whatever she thinks is best?
She has estimated that her design work, let me see if I can find that letter. It was on the, it's on,
I have the ML's Greenery letter from March 5th. That's what you're referring to, right, Tom?
yes, the back side of it, I took her letter and made a list. And
Yeah.
there's the top part of that list is the actual work. And the bottom part of that list, $2,250, is the plan of the work. And that involves talking to the trustees, talking to the school, and talking to the town, because there's really kind of three frontages, you know, the school frontage, the library frontage, and the parking lot frontage. And we really have to pull some other parties together for this. We can't act, I don't think we should act unilaterally across the whole frontage. So she has volunteered, or not volunteered, we pay her to talk to these other groups. We can be present or not present, and get their ideas, integrate people's ideas. And in addition to that, there's the area behind the library that is used as a walkthrough, which really wasn't designed to be a walkthrough, but should probably be designed to be a walkthrough, because right now it's just a muddy path. So for $2,250, we get a site review and walkabout with us folks, and then meetings to present some ideas to the school and the town, and then finalize the thing. And then it's on paper.
So Tom, she would actually meet with some of the town committees now that are the Main Street Committee, or and whoever else might be necessary to, like, you know, kind of work together on what?
Yes, I think there's three parties: the school,
yeah,
the library, and quote, the town, meaning the town offices and the parking lot frontage.
Yeah, in the letter, and I was impressed in the letter, it had said is establish a walkthrough for trustees, the DPW, the school, town admins, and then create a plan for 2 meetings with 4 stakeholders for clarification and bring it in. So I was happy with those details.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know her through the Westminster Farmers Market. She runs a business, which is landscape architecture, and does things like the Perkins School for the Blind. You know, she does fairly large projects. And she also goes up to the farmer's market and sells plants and whatnot from her greenhouse operation, but she's also really knowledgeable. I've never asked a question that I didn't get a pretty good answer from her on. So I'm selling her a little bit. If anybody has an alternative, I'd be glad to entertain that.
Sounds good to me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know a lot about the I was thinking locally, Clapham, and I'm trying to think of the other names, and I don't have them up. But I was wondering if we should try to entertain bringing in a couple other bids, like they do, or they ask for open bids in the town. And I correct me if I'm wrong, maybe you know, Tom, is it usually like 3 bids?
Well, the state law on small contracts is under $10,000. You don't need to have 3 bids. You do what's called good business practice. However, this person that we have this quote, this estimate from, estimated the work. She doesn't do tree work.
Okay.
She suggests that we talk to, first stop would be the tree warden, second stop would be the highway guys, third stop would be Rich Clapham or someone like him. And the other area of work is digging. She doesn't have the backhoe type equipment. And that person could be the grasshopper. I'm sorry, I can't remember his name, but he too is local.
Dixon.
Yeah, Mr. Dixon. And so yes, everywhere we can, I want to use local talent and energy. I don't want to misrepresent her. She doesn't do the tree work. She was.
So a question, would she act as, I'm more familiar with home projects, but would she then act as a general contractor, and would she reach out, or are we just buying a plan and then our actions are then to go to the DPW, the tree warden, to Clapham, etc., and do the work ourselves? And are we just purchasing the plan and for somebody to speak about the work?
I think there's 2 parts to it. You get the plan, or well, actually, you get the coordination of the various parties that are going to have their yards dug up, and she generates a plan, and we execute as much of that plan as we can, because we're the people who are issuing the purchase order, for instance, to Clapham or however we do it. And then after all the heavy work is done, she can come in and plant things, for instance, if you do excavation and you cut roots of a tree, she'll instruct on how to pack it with sphagnum moss and make the tree survive the cut and all that kind of stuff. She'll select appropriate non-invasive plants, native plants in New England, and get them planted. She can plant them. She has work groups. So it's a mix. But anytime there's a purchase order left, the town will issue the purchase order. She won't be a general contractor issuing purchase order.
With regards to the purchasing and bringing in plants, was that a separate letter? The one I'm looking at didn't include that, so I was just curious.
It is right now. It's a separate concept. It would fall out of the plan. What she said was, "Boy, you really ought to take care of some of these trees. They're going to fall on somebody and break a car or a neck or something." So that's why she focused on trees. Is this acceptable or crazy? I guess it's crazy.
I think it's good to have a plan, to pay for the plan, and maybe sooner is better than later as they're starting to plan the specifics of the other work.
I should let you know that they are what they call 100% complete on the design work of the Main Street. And I've got a set of 30 drawings. And I don't know if they're available on the website or not, but they should be. And they're waiting for funding, which I think is 2 years away. They're in line with state money. I didn't explore grants. I just thought we'd clean up after they came through on Main Street, clean up our front yards. What's the problem?
This would be 3 years out then, is what we're projecting?
Well, their work will be 2 years out and ours would be in the second year. I don't know why we couldn't do ours simultaneous or immediately after theirs. But you've got to be ready, you know. We don't want Main Street to come through and everybody's yard to get dug up. And then we sit there for a year and a half scratching our heads figuring out what we're going to do. We want to jump on it and get it done. So planning and being ready is what we're trying to do here. I can check with the town committee, the town Main Street committee, as to when they think funding will arrive, but I think I'm right. It's at least 1 year away and maybe 2 years away.
I think Morgan asked if we needed to get additional bids and you said no. Is that right?
Well, we can if we want.
But we're not required to do that.
That's correct.
Okay.
I
just want to make sure I got that right.
Yeah, we under $10,000 you can use good business practice. It's not a hard rule. If you feel that you don't know how much it costs and you don't have any feel for it, then go out for 3 bids. But for this $2,200 contract, I don't feel a need to go out for 3 bids. But if you guys want to, sure will.
Are we also proposing that we use the money that we have sitting there that needs to be used before June 30th, 2021 for this?
Exactly, yes.
So kind of would have to move pretty quickly.
Yes.
If we were going to get some more bids, but.
I'd be fine having us purchase the plans. My only thought would be like, I'm saying with the plan, there would be like an estimate of cost like for the everything. So I just want to make sure like she doesn't come back with something that's like $40,000, which is like maybe completely out of our ballpark range. Like, so I just want to make sure like the scale is understood of like how much like we feel like we can put towards the beautification and that she works within those budget parameters, I guess.
Well, we've also got 2 partners that we should be able to tap into for some money. The school must have some funds and the town must have some funds. And I think we've got to drum up a little enthusiasm and see what they can contribute to the cause. I don't have a sense of what it might cost. I think the big thing is if you move in with a 15-foot tall tree, that's probably a major cost. But if it's small plants and grass seed and grading, I don't think it's too bad. I had a quote for $3,800 to do the basic grading from grasshopper. But even if you double that, it's still a reasonable amount to get most of the job done. What I'd like to do is have you meet this person. Unfortunately, her agricultural committee meeting is on the same schedule as ours. But if you guys could figure out a way to perhaps have maybe a 45-minute evening meeting or a Saturday morning meeting or a Sunday afternoon meeting or something, we could get her up into town and we could meet her and she could walk around the library and point and talk and give you some sense of what's going on. I think that's the way to start before you give her anything. It's like an interview, you know. You get to meet her and understand how she thinks, and then she gets to hear you. What do you think?
Do you know how much time she would need to create the plan? I'm just thinking of dates, that's all. Would she need more than a month, you think, like if we met her?
I don't know, but I don't think it's more than a month. She had 3 meetings. Let's see if I can find this letter again. I think there were 3 meetings, one with us, one with the town. Morgan, you just read that. What did it say?
So what I've seen is that she was planning a meeting with the trustees, the DPW, school, and town admin. And then I'm assuming number 7 on the list was to create a rough plan for 2 meetings with 4 stakeholders for clarification.
And then a final plan.
And then a final plan. But I don't see a final estimate determined by stakeholders, needs and site considerations.
Yeah, I don't remember she telling us her hourly rate, but $2,200, let's say, just for easy math, it's $100 an hour, it's 22 hours. So
the estimation is 4 hours with a rate of 300 for the established walkabout with stakeholders, trustees, DPW, school and town admin. So it's under 100 per hour. And the 2 meetings for clarification are 750. So I miss.
Well, yeah, after you have the meeting, you got to go home and write it up. So
Yeah.
But you're proposing a meeting before we approve the plan for the plan. I forget what it's called. The proposal.
Yeah, I think you guys ought to meet her. If the chemistry isn't right, then we go somewhere else.
Well, could we invite her as well? I mean, I don't want to delay it, but could we invite her and have are we allowed to reconvene the trustees for a quick meet and do that via Zoom even?
We could do it via Zoom, or we could do it on the library steps. You can have a public meeting outdoors.
Yeah.
I would prefer the library steps. She's going to walk around, point to things. And
I think that would be beneficial as well.
Yeah.
All right. Does anybody have a preferred day other than Thursday night? Well, maybe next Thursday night. I don't know what her agricultural thing is. I think it's once a month, just like us.
I mean, we would probably want to meet her in like a little bit of light, right, to walk around the property. Or no?
That's correct.
Okay. Yeah, I can do a Friday afternoon, a Saturday morning.
I'm free after 5 on Fridays, and likewise, usually Saturday mornings.
Yeah, it's still light at 5 o'clock on Fridays, or even 5:30, I think. Well, not specifically Fridays, but
yeah,
I'm okay with either of those times.
Same here.
All right, let me call her and see what we can do. I prefer face-to-face. We'll all mask up and stay away from each other, but I'll try for a Friday afternoon. You're sure Friday afternoons are sometimes kind of rough, but second choice would be Saturday morning.
Okay.
Best time Saturday morning?
as long as it's not 7 a.m.
All right, 8:30, 8:45, 9 o'clock, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Good.
For me, generally, I don't want to say the earlier the better. I don't want to do 6 a.m. But if I'm able to go and do something depending on the meeting and be done, our commitments tend to pick up around 10 or 11.
Mm-hmm.
Good, yeah. I don't want to take a chunk out of the middle of the day. Let's take it out of the early part.
Yeah.
So I'll say 8:30 to 9:30.
Yeah.
So do we have to advertise this as a meeting? I'm just confused about it.
I don't know.
It doesn't seem like we should. We're not conducting business.
I can ask that question, since I will ask that question.
I don't think it's any
I don't
problem.
think so, but yeah.
I would love to have more public there.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you're going to give us some dates? I mean, you're going to talk to her and give us dates, or we're trying to do it?
Well, it can't be tomorrow, but it could
Right.
be next Friday.
Okay.
That would be April
9th.
Okay.
And then the other money I was going to spend, I think I mentioned, would be decommissioning that well. I have to dig it up and fill it up with a certain kind of clay. And there's a whole procedure dictated by the state and the Board of Health to follow. And I'll have to contract with a licensed well driller to do that. But I'll handle that through the town administrator. It's okay to do that.
Okay. Do we have to vote on anything here, or we'll vote when the time comes?
Yeah, we're not making any decisions except to schedule a meeting. We can do that without, we can call each other and talk about that all we want. That's okay under the open meeting law.
Okay. So Tom, you'll work on setting up the appointment. I'll work on figuring out whether we need to post this, which I don't think we do, but we'll reach out. Yeah.
It doesn't hurt us to post it. It might advertise what we're doing.
Okay. So I'm actually gonna, Tom, the Library Foundation inspection report was included in what you already talked about for the grant. I'm actually going to skip down to the last agenda item for now. I'm feeling like, I found out from the school committee that they elect a new chairperson every year. And I want to give that opportunity to us. So I was wondering if, I don't know, does anyone want to have a discussion about trying chair for a year?
That usually happens right after the election.
Well, I'm thinking the new person, the chair would become chair after the election, but maybe just starting the discussion.
Are we going to need to recruit more members, or is everyone going to run again? Or I don't know who's up for.
To look up to see who would be running.
I'm up for re-election, and I think you are.
I am.
Oh, you are. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was planning on running. It's okay with you guys.
Okay. So Tom, you're staying. Anyone? And who was it? Connie? Are you up?
Yep, I'm up. So
let's see. You will run?
Yeah, I will run.
Okay. Anyone else up? Let's see. They usually have that posted.
Any word on Joanna?
Oh, Johanna said she was on vacation tonight. So
No, is she up?
That's what I'm looking for. I don't know.
I don't think she is. I feel like last time around it was me, Tom, and I forget her name, the woman that Morgan you replaced.
Heather.
Heather
if
was on
I can interject here.
Actually,
Can I interject here?
Yeah.
Because I talked to Lori Reed and she said that I had two. It's like if there's two that are up every year, so you'll have like a 3-year term if I understand it correctly.
Yeah.
And she said that it was just Tom and Connie this year.
Okay. Yeah, I know.
and I think Krista took Heather's.
Yeah.
I think these positions are also posted on the town website. I haven't looked, but I think they're there.
Well, if you're running this year, you should have gotten your nomination, the nomination papers I think were ready on March 29th.
Yeah, I got something in the mail the other day about it.
Okay. And so I think they're available to be picked up as of this week.
So I think it's not a bad idea to start, depending on how the election goes, of having or electing a new chairperson. I guess it would be July, depending on the June vote.
Okay, so we'll vote in July?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think our June meeting would be before the election.
Okay, so then look, just putting it out there, start thinking about that. Who would like to run as chair, ask questions, we can talk one-on-one as to what the responsibilities are. Anyone interested? Okay, just let me know. Okay. So it is 8 o'clock, and I do usually like to keep the meeting to an hour. There is at least one other thing on the agenda. What are your feelings? Should we keep going, talk about ADA stuff, or keep to our schedule? Should we do ADA stuff?
What do we have on the ADA? I know we should work more on it, and I know that there are grants. I actually, since it brought up, I'm going to Google it. I'm emailing you guys separately because I just heard out of the library who received a grant, and I thought of Connie, and it was specifically with regards to ADA compliance. So let me see if I can find that in my email.
That's great. So I did a little bit of research because I realized we don't really have a start. I don't know if anyone has a start place in their mind for this. So I did do a little bit of research. I've done it in the past before, and I found a listing of, I think it's 12 categories. 12 categories that are talked about that we need to think about when we're talking about ADA compliance for the library. And so I don't think any of these will be a surprise to anyone. And I think I've been thinking about where we are ADA compliant and where we are not. So the categories are parking lot, signage, doorways and paths, elevators and stairs, floors, lighting, access to the catalogs and to the computer stations or computers, furniture, periodicals and stacks, checkout desk or checkout, reference and the help desk, and restrooms. So I'm sure none of that is a surprise to you. And I have a document that I found that kind of talks about each of those. What I'll do is I'll email that to all of you, and maybe we can start thinking about, like, where do we start and what can we do, you know, without a lot of money, and to make the library a little bit more accessible to people. I think we might even want to have a discussion about what accessibility means. So I'm just throwing that out there. I don't want to run the show. I want to know what others are thinking and how you think we should go with this, or whatever's on your mind.
We have one thing in our strategic plan, which is a self-assessment for disability,
Yep.
which I don't think we've done yet.
Yep.
So it might be good to start with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure, I don't think I heard you mention, maybe I missed it, but another thing we need to think about too is the website.
Yep.
And whether or not the website is WCAG2, and if it's.
That's in our long range plan, right?
I don't think it is in our long range plan.
I think
or maybe it is, I'm not sure.
Okay.
But that would be, I mean, that's another element, because that's another access point to the library and so it's kind of doing a review of the website as well.
You
Can
said
you
the
website WTAG2?
It's I think it's WCAG2. It's the web compliance assessment guidelines.
Assessment thing. Okay, I can send that out because I still have the link to that.
Let me see if I can find it real quick.
I think it's in the long range plan. I think it's linked into the long range plan to the digital version.
Yeah, it may be. Here, let me just.
I have.
And that just looks at things like, you know, if you have like images, like, are you putting in alt text for someone who's like vision impaired, so that I'll read the image for them so they know what that image is. Talking about like things like headings, you know, color contrast, those types of things. So
is Facebook accessible? Because I know we use it a lot. I just wonder if it's.
I feel pretty confident that it is accessible. Like, I would imagine a platform like that is.
It's designed for that.
Designed for.
Okay.
All groups.
So let's do the self-assessment. We'll send out, should I send out the link, Connie, or do you want to?
So I popped it in the chat.
Oh, you did?
Maybe you could just go into the meeting minutes. And then I also put the WCAG information in the chat too.
Okay. Once we close, that's no longer accessible to us, right? So we'd have to take it now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've just added an article with regards to a public library having received a grant for a lift from the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation, specifically to improve ADA and make things more compliant.
So
you just emailed that?
Yeah.
I added it into the chat as well. And if you guys would like, I can email it.
Yeah.
No, that's well, it's okay. And then that list you had that you were referring to, it might be good to have that also, Josephine,
I'll send it
categories.
To everyone. Yep. I'll send, so yeah, so I'll send that to everyone tonight before I get away from my computer. And then we can start to talk more about what this means for our library and where we want to go.
Getting the cart of books over the gigantic
Yes.
thresholds in the 2 doors is really requires a lot of heavy lifting. So, but I don't know what the solution to that is. They're probably historic or something.
Yeah. Our floors in general are horrendous, I think, when it comes to ADA compliance. I mean, we have electrical outlets on the floor, right, under the tables. And who knows what else. It'd be good to go through it with that eye of like doing a little reading and then going through the library that way. And I think that we'll find a lot of obstacles for people. So yeah, so how about we do the self-assessment? We read some of the stuff that came up in the chat tonight that Morgan and Bonnie and put here for us. Did I say Bonnie? Bonnie. And then we'll reconvene and maybe we start with this at our next meeting. Does everyone agree, or how do people feel about that?
I think that the first step is the self-assessment.
Yep.
And going through that, I think that would be great. I would love to do more and make the library more accessible. And there's a lot of big things that could be done, but then there's a lot of like more manageable things to get that first step in making things more accessible.
Yeah, I bet there are some things that really don't cost much at all if we just walk through the library and kind of figure it out.
And going back to the Zoom, to be quite honest, having the Zoom platform, which makes library programming more accessible, that's another step in making things compliant, I think, too. So looking at it in that light, it's for us.
What do I do with these items in the chat? How do I capture this information?
Highlight, copy.
I did that. And I'm trying to paste it into a Word document. It didn't work. But
you could also just click on each one separately and open those windows.
And then save them.
Okay.
Mark it.
Got it.
So I won't close this until everyone has their little links.
Sorry.
All right. I've got a self-evaluation and a Windsor Public Library thing.
There are 3, right?
I don't see where the self-assessment is.
It's the first one.
And then below it is the web content accessibility guidelines.
I think I mastered it. It was very hard.
Do we want to do one or two of us want to kind of work through the self-evaluation workbook and present at findings at the next meeting, or do we want to do it all together, or do we want to just wait and talk about it at the next meeting?
What would everyone like to do?
I think having things, if I'm happy to work with somebody and kind of go through it and then present, I think that's a more efficient use of our time, and it allows more time for kind of discussion and reflection.
Morgan, I'd work on that with you.
Okay.
So do you think for the May meeting or June meeting, what do we?
I would almost propose for June, just given that May, I would like to have the focus be on the scholarships probably. I think that should take precedence. And then I think also given that we have a kind of financial responsibility, we should be addressing proposals and other work.
Okay, so yeah, let's put that on the schedule for June then.
The scholarships are at the May meeting, and then we'll do the accessibility at the June meeting.
Mm-hmm.
It looks pretty lengthy. Do you want more help with it, or do you want to try to split it up like into aspects of accessibility? I haven't really looked at it.
I haven't looked at it either. Connie.
I looked at it quickly. It's like 34 pages, so it's a workbook. A lot of it's like check the box off. I mean, so I'd have to look at it a little bit more closely to see how intensive it is, but I imagine it's a lot of like a walkthrough of the building to look at certain things.
Well, like one is program accessibility, or I'm just wondering if you want to if you want more help or if you want to divide it up more or administrative, I don't know.
I think, sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So do you think that so maybe we can meet at the library and break up the tasks there and just, you know, is that what we should do? Meet up the library, have the workbook, and each of us take a part?
I'm for that idea as well. As long as we're not in violation, we could kind of come divide and conquer.
So I think, how many people can be at the library at the same time, Chris? Is it 8?
Yes,
8
8
people. Yeah. So there can be 8 people in the library. So even including Johanna, we wouldn't be exceeding that. Should we come up with a date? Do you want to come up with a date through email?
I think we should come up with a date now.
Okay. Is a Saturday morning good for people?
My calendar.
Morgan, can you repeat that?
I think Saturdays are good.
The library's open at that time. So
The library opens at 9.
Okay.
If we were to go in, would anybody be able to meet maybe for 8 before they open?
I would do that.
I could do that.
Mhm. So Saturday, April 10th, Saturday, April 17th, April 24th.
April 17th is what? Is that cleanup day?
That's a townwide cleanup day.
And the 10th is recycling day. I don't know if anyone's doing anything with the recycling day or not.
The 10th, potentially also our walkthrough with, I've already forgotten the last name, but the ML, I'm going to say landscape architect, of keeping that in mind. I don't know if we want to piggyback and how long that meeting would be. If we could have a walkthrough of the library first and then follow it up with a meeting of her for Saturday morning, we would be there anyways.
So we could do our inside work and then meet her outdoors to check out the land. Sounds
Correct. And or if the library is not open on Friday night, unless I'm mistaken. So if instead, if we were meeting with her for a walkthrough on a Friday late afternoon, early evening, if we just carried over into doing the assessments, so one trip, getting 2 things done, how does that sound?
That sounds good.
Tom, can I fill in your voice? I see you talking.
Yes, there I am. I thought that sounded good. We could just, all the interior work on the ADA we can do with lights on and we don't need sunlight.
Yep.
Okay.
So then we're waiting to hear about our meeting with Altobello before we decide on, okay, so well, Tom, what was the dog? So we'll wait to hear from you, Tom, as to the date, and if it's Saturday morning, we'll do our work early, 8 to 9, and then meet with her at 9.
Am I coming away with the right impression that Friday night is probably better?
It might allow more time and feel less pressured.
That's where I'm going to push, and then so no one's disappointed.
Okay. So you're going to try for Friday, April 9th?
Yes.
Okay, meeting with her during daylight hours and then going into the library and doing the assessment after that.
When we say daylight, it will be after 5?
I mean, I think that's what we're proposing.
And if you guys need to meet earlier, I can try to get out. We just have a couple late afternoon classes that I can try to find another adult chaperone for.
When is sunset at this point? Is it about 6:30?
About
it's
7.
after 7.
Yeah.
So if we met at 5 or, you know, a little after 5, we should still have enough daylight. I mean, I think that's a question to Altobello because, you know, she's going to be the one who I guess, needs to see and know the landscape and understand. So.
All right, let me get on that. I'll let you know as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So just for clarification, we're not going to be having people review this before we meet, or we are still going to have a small group review the.
I mean, I
Sounds
think
like we're all agreeing to do it all together.
yeah.
Okay.
Sounds like now. So
Mhm.
it might be helpful to review it beforehand, just so you have
Review.
an idea of what the content is.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
The
So
same-
review and then we'll all meet together.
The same question regarding the need for a public notice probably exists for the ADA, or just make it the second agenda item on one public meeting. But that's
Mhm.
in Josephine's court.
So I need 2 days to post an agenda. And so it has to be like Monday for Wednesday, or Wednesday, I would say Tuesday for Friday, because depending on when they're in the office, when I email the agenda, how much time they need, sometimes they can get the agenda posted quickly and sometimes they don't respond for a day or two. So,
I'll try to tell you tomorrow.
okay, if you tell me tomorrow, then I'll write the agenda and get it to them over the weekend, and they'll probably post it early in the week next week.
Very good.
Sounds good. Okay. All right. So I'll be waiting on you, and then I'll get that ball rolling, and I will email. I'm gonna actually have all of these documents or websites in the chat open. So what I'll do is, since I have to send an email anyway, I will include those in my email now for everyone.
Okay.
Just for sake of ease. Okay.
Thank you.
So is there anything else that we needed to discuss tonight?
A motion to dismiss?
Adjourn, I think.
Adjourn.
I'll second.
Okay, Morgan,
Yay.
Tom,
Yes.
Yes, yes, please.
Connie,
Yes.
Krista.
Yes.
Yes, Josephine. Okay.